totally reevaluating what I think about relationships/marriage and stuck in my head about it. If anyone could give me their perspective, that would be great. Delete me if you must, but it does get more specific. I feel like in my culture, USA, from a very young age we are socialized to think that the most important thing in life is finding a soulmate and getting married and living happily ever after. My parents never got divorced and neither did either set of my grandparents. My sister is married with kids. I, 37, am bisexual, still kind of figuring it out, and have never been married, and it makes me feel like kind of a failure. After a longish drought I have had a friends with benefits type situation with a divorced woman. I love her, she loves me, but her perspective on relationships has really opened my eyes/made me question everything I think. She felt very controlled by being in a marriage, and now that she is divorced she is very clear she does not want an exclusive relationship with me or anyone else, and wants the freedom to meet/get to know anyone she wants and not worry about another person's feelings being hurt/jealousy, and does not agree with our very romantic relationship-centric culture that puts it above everything else and expects your romantic partner to be your best friend, lover, roommate, etc. I have been to a lot of weddings and I've always thought, wow, I can't believe that these two people are the most in love people in the world. It always seemed ridiculous to me, and 50% of the time a few years later they are divorced. I'm a pretty realistic/pessimistic person, so I just don't see how in good conscience I could get up in front of people and make those vows knowing that there is a good chance that we will fall out of love, want to get divorced in the future. I find myself agreeing with my friend, it feels really overwhelming. I don't think I want to go to the level my friend has. It makes me uncomfortable that the terms of our relationship can change suddenly if she meets someone else she wants to have a relationship with. But I kind of like the idea of having my own life, place to live, and finances, and having loving, caring, potentially long-term relationships that are periodically evaluated, and we could decide, okay, this relationship is still meeting my needs, let's keep going, or not. And not have it be predicated on a piece of paper and blowing up our whole lives if it doesn't work out. Unless you want to have kids, which, surprise, I am also wishy-washy on. It seems like getting married and expecting to be with someone for 30-50 years seems unrealistic/limiting. I do think there are a subset of people that are very suited for marriage, but a lot of other people who are not. But since it is presented as the way to go, all of the other folks who maybe aren't suited force themselves into it. I really fear being alone, as do a lot of people, and worry that trying to approach relationships this way will turn off most people who want what the perceived security of marriage. Does anyone else feel like this? Do I need to grow up and make a commitment? TL, doctor, I know I want loving romantic relationships in my life, but I don't know if I want to/can commit to someone forever. Am I childish, or do other people feel this way and it is an okay adult decision to make? I think that if what you want is to be in a monogamous relationship, there are people out there for you. If you want to be in an open relationship, there are people out there for you. If you want to be in a relationship for as long as it works and know that it will likely come to an end, there are people out there for you. There is no wrong way to live your life as long as you're not being a jerk about it. I like dating, but I've never seen myself as someone who would get married. I feel pretty good about that. Give yourself permission to feel good about your decisions, because there is no wrong way to do it. On the flip side, it's also okay to change your mind. You may feel this way now and change your mind in a few years, or you may not. That is totally okay. We all grow and change, and being monogamously married is not the more mature or adult option. It's just one option, as long as you're, again, not a jerk about what you want. I think the overwhelming bias toward marriage that you feel might be a product of your geographical location. I've found that living in a city, my social group has always included many single people of all ages. Sometimes someone would get married, but it never becomes universal. Although it has been a long time since I've lived in the suburbs, I have the impression that marriage is more the default assumption in the suburbs and the country. I was 39 when I married my husband, who was 43 at the time. Neither of us had been married prior to that. Hey man, These thoughts are not only normal, they are the most normal thing in the world. If you weren't thinking about it, I'd be worried. No one can figure out your answer for you. You'll have to work hard on figuring that out. But it is so worth it. Many people don't think marriage is the end all. You've just been conditioned to think that way. Polyamory has really taken off in the last decade or so. It may not be the spot for you, but there is a lot of work that goes into polyamorous relationships that could help you on this road. I appreciate that you have a friend who is so open about this, but I also immediately got concerned about you. Just be open isn't how you do it. That will lead to hurt. You need to be very clear with your boundaries. Ask every single question. You're allowed to say you want something, get it, and realize it wasn't what you wanted after all. Try things out, learn the power of no, and even better, the power of yes. There is nothing like being able to say yes, I chose this, and if it's exactly what I want. She does not want an exclusive relationship with me or anyone else and wants the freedom to meet/get to know anyone she wants and not worry about another person's feelings being hurt/jealousy. Lots of good advice in this thread, but I wanted to point out that never hurting anyone isn't a realistic goal. Even people in poly/open relationships get jealous and hurt feelings. There is almost nothing you can do to avoid this completely when love is involved, especially when adding multiple people into the mix. A more realistic goal would be to aim to be ethical and honest about your intentions, to not be exclusive or settle down. You have the right to live life however you want, within the confines of the laws from where you live, of course. My 32 meters wife, 32F, might be falling into a dark place over her desire for a baby. I've, 32 meters, been in a relationship with my wife, 32F, for 9 years, and we've been married for the past 2 years. We get along well, are best buds basically, and can tell each other everything. Our careers are stable and we're okay financially, but not great. But like all relationships, we have our issues. We have basically been a dead bedroom for years, and she has struggled with depression for most of her life. I support her the best I can, and I don't blame her for any of this. And we go to a couples therapist, which has been helpful, but it has been very hard. For the past couple years she started talking about her desire to start a family. We were on the same page on this for years, so that was never a problem. But over the past couple years her depression has kind of gotten worse, and she has started getting more and more desperate over her need for a baby. But because of her depression, she has a lot of trouble ever getting off the couch. She has also fallen behind on self-care. I am very worried about having a baby right now. She seems very unconcerned about the massive increase in responsibility with a baby, when she is having trouble just doing basic daily requirements without a baby. She describes her need for a baby almost like it's something that will save her, as something she needs, even though she explicitly acknowledges that having a baby doesn't ever fix anything. I don't think that notion has really sunk into her emotionally. And she claims that the moment she has a baby, she'll probably just snap out of it. I don't want to take a risk on a gamble like this, but we did start trying recently. It took a lot for me to clear the hurdle of my worries, but with encouragement from our therapist, I pushed past what I thought was my better judgment. On my end, I've had an ongoing issue with delaying things out of anxiety, so I wasn't sure if my hesitation was just my own stuff getting in the way, which would have been unfair to my wife. So combining all these together, we started trying. She wanted to start ASAP because she did her research and said sometimes it can take up to 6+ months to conceive even if there are no fertility issues. She was approaching it with near panic, and I was hoping she'd feel better once we started. Each time her ovulation period started, she suddenly acted like she cared about sex for the first time in years. Then as soon as the window was over, immediately back to having little interest in intimacy. And she'd get really pissed at me if I wasn't ready to perform instantly when she deemed it critical, timing-wise, saying that I'm not trying hard enough. That kind of sucked. It felt like I'm just here for one purpose. We tried for 2 months and didn't get pregnant yet. Now she's convinced she has fertility issues, even though she said it can take up to 6+ months without issues, and has started resenting her friends who got pregnant in 1 or 2 tries, saying wow, that must be nice for life to be that easy, etc. She scheduled an appointment with a fertility doctor, but the doctor told her not to worry yet. So she scheduled with another one and lied and told this doctor we've been trying for over a year, just so she can be seen. I couldn't believe she did that, and now I'm worried the doctor might prescribe some sort of treatment based on the wrong information. She got annoyed with me for having a problem with this. I told her I really think we need to pause trying and work on these issues because I'm really alarmed, but she flipped. She made it clear that stopping was not an option, and that she just thinks I'm afraid to grow up. We went back and forth on this a lot, and she finally said if I try to stop trying, and we don't have a baby soon, she might not be able to stay married, because she can't waste time, and if we split over this she has to find someone else ASAP because it takes a long time to date someone long enough to make sure you want to have kids with them. Lately it's gotten worse. Hearing of new pregnancies, even people we don't personally know, like a random celebrity, will tank her mood for the day and piss her off, and she gets kind of toxic. She'll go back into the why do they get to have a baby and not me. She has started scanning social media and comparing other couples to us, how long they've been together. Look, they've been together much shorter than us but already have 2 kids, comparing progress. I've started dreading seeing baby carriages on the street because of the effect it will have on her every time. I've been very open about my worries with her, and she only ends up dismissing me or feeling blamed or judged. Even when I am very upfront about my support for her and the fact that I'm not blaming or criticizing anyone, with the help from our therapist too, yet it's falling on deaf ears. She seems to have little interest in working on the parts of our relationship that are wearing me down. She can only think about having a baby, talking about how other people have babies, hating other women for bragging about their babies on social media, almost like having a baby is some accomplishment that makes you win the game of adulting. Our therapist has been helpful with our communication, but since they can't be prescriptive, they haven't weighed in on whether or not it's a good idea to keep trying. I am worried things will just go downhill further once we do have a baby and she might realize it's not a magical solution. Am I worrying too much? Is this just a phase some people go through, or by proceeding to have a baby, am I ignoring actual major red flags that could end up actually fostering a toxic environment for a future kid? Has anyone else dealt with this? Her next cycle is coming up and I find I'm dreading it, but if I ask her to pause and work on our relationship she'll explode. Too long didn't read. My wife is struggling with depression, our relationship needs work, and her desire for a baby is growing so urgently she's starting to resent everyone, and I'm worried she's not taking seriously the possible risk to our marriage that would come from such a major increase in responsibility. Wow, this sounds like a train wreck of resentment on your end waiting to happen. If she's this depressed, she's at high risk for postpartum depression or worse. Not only that, if you have a baby with her and she doesn't snap out at you, will be stuck being the primary caregiver and parent who's present. If she's truly unstable as you make her out to be, I would worry about her mental capacity to handle the stress of a baby when the stresses are high, and they will be with a newborn, and hormones raging. You will resent her if it goes sideways, because you didn't trust your initial instinct, which I believe to be highly insightful and on point. She almost seems manic-like in a bipolar way. If you'll have a dead bedroom now, and she's using you to get pregnant, you will resent her when this stops and she gets pregnant, then doesn't need or want you anymore. There's so many toxic components to this situation. The last thing you need to do is add a baby to the stress. She need to seek help for her obsession over this. It's like she goes from one extreme to the next. I would make conditions with her and the therapist. Something along the lines where she needs to prove she can do better. Keep daily hygiene, take care of herself daily, not sleep or lay around depressed all day. If she's not on meds, she needs to be. She needs to prove to you she's capable, and right now she's not. She's trying to fix whatever she can't fix in her own life. She can't control the depression, but she can this. Babies add stress they don't take away. I would set boundaries and stand firm on her, proving she's ready emotionally and mentally for a baby. Right now, she's obsessed, fixated, and neglectful. She's not ready, and neither is your marriage. This has all the writings of divorce eventually if this happens. My 29F husband, 33 meters, is constantly ill. While I know it isn't his fault, it's taking a toll on our relationship and my mental health. Over the past year or so, my husband has had a myriad of health issues. For a while he would get hives covering his entire body for seemingly no reason. He cannot sleep regularly at all. He has uncontrollable heartburn made worse by the steroids he was taking for the hives, very severe allergies, and a bad back. He also has a cataract in one eye and for a while had a bubble-like thing in the other which caused him to have bad headaches since his job is primarily staring at a computer. He went to the doctor late last year and had a bunch of blood work done that all came back normal, and is getting a much larger panel done later this month to see if there are any other issues that have popped up. The bubble and hives are under control now, but the issues haven't stopped. Every single day I get a text that says something along the lines of "My head is terribly stuffy today, I'm very dizzy, I have an awful headache, my allergies are killing me, my arms aren't functioning properly, I feel lightheaded," etc. 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 I'm always at work when I get these, so there's no way to help him, but I always try to be empathetic and give him some advice which typically is never even responded to. If I'm home, I usually just tell him to rest. When I get home, he's essentially out of commission due to these issues. He's never upbeat or happy, always moves kinda slow, and has zero motivation to do anything at all. I know that it must be incredibly difficult going through life never feeling okay, but I can't help but be a little bit resentful that I'm always running circles around him, taking care of him, the house, our pets, our kids, and every once in a while myself because he isn't feeling up to it. How do I get over these negative feelings? A marriage is supposed to be in sickness and in health / for better or worse, and I feel so guilty for getting annoyed when he sends me yet another text or tells me how he's not feeling well. I just feel so neglected because he's always ill and I feel as though I can't ask for attention or anything because of it. Too long didn't read. My husband is constantly ill, which means that I typically have to take care of our entire household including him. It also causes a rift in our relationship because I feel like I can't ask for love or attention due to his health problems.